the place where it starts and ends. A sweet girl with a gentle hand stole my life in a timeless dance. In the realm of love, where time's a glance. Oh, how can it be?
XDR Firefly is now live. Streaming IRL. When the sun went rogue. The near disaster lets feed the E227.
Tell me why are we worlds apart? Isn't my misfit heart or fear of the dark? Every full moon, think of me in the night's embrace where we used to be. Hearts worth breaking, it's a dangerous play. Some heal stronger, some just fray. Yet here I stand, with gashes wide, under midnight showers where my secrets hide. Could someone change your path as I could not? Caught her back from the void, a second shot. Memories etched in the soul, they never fade. In the echo of her steps, I'm still swayed. Tell me why are we worlds apart? Is it my misfit heart or fear of the dark? Every full moon, think of me in the night's embrace where we used to be. Where we used to be. Where we used to be. Wear your Sunday dress on a Thursday night. Fight for love with all your might. Forget it all in a flash if you dare, or hold on tight if you still care. No ending in sight, just stories untold. In the heart of the night, in the brave and the bold. Think of me when the skies are soft.
TTS.
Our memories, our eternal spark. Tell me why are we worlds apart? Is it my misfit heart or fear of the dark? Every full moon, think of me in the night's embrace where we used to be. Where we used to be. Wear your Sunday dress on a Thursday night. Fight for love with all your might. Forget it all in a flash if you dare, or hold on tight if you still care. Wear your Sunday dress on a Thursday night. Fight for love with all your might.
Bot Rex has correctly joined the channel.
everyone. Hope everyone is having hopefully I can figure out where they're at. Audio sounds good, perfect. I don't know what I stuck my gloves. Someplace. Now, oh, how am I so disorganized today? So absolutely disorganized today. Anyways, I'll find them. They'll be here in just a second. I'll figure out where they're at. Probably right in front of my face. Super easy to find, and I'm just not looking in the right locations. That's my guess. Is I'll be like, oh, duh, right there. That's what I'll probably do in just a second. As soon as I figure out where the moment is. So today we are going to talk about the close call that we had during the auroras this year, and we're learning more and more of them. We're actually very great. We are very lucky, I should say. That's the best word here. We're probably lucky. It could have been really bad. It could have been, not GG, because I don't actually think that the universe is going to create a new game, but it's might start a new level. We're still going to be playing human, but we'll be playing human in a slightly different way. Again, I'm not really too worried about any of that. I think that we will handle it just fine. I think that humanity will find a way to live on. I think we always have, and I think we will. So I'm not a doom when it comes to what the sun's going to do. I am a little concerned about the ease of life. Just make it. Actually, I found a separate different set of gloves, and we're just going to deal with this other separate different set of gloves, and we're going to go with that. So let's head on out. Let's get everybody fed and talk more about the sun, how it's affecting weather, and why I am not super concerned, but also why I am pay very close attention. So as a farmer, I spend a lot of time hanging out with the sun. I see what the sun does. Let's look here at the temperature real fast. We've got about 24 degrees, or that is negative 4C. So 24 degrees or negative 4C today. You guys can see lots of blue skies. It is a sunny, bright day with the blue skies everywhere. We got more snow last night. I think we have a total of 6, 7, 8 inches on the ground, something like that. So the aurora, we saw the auroras here in southern West Virginia. Lots of pictures of them. With your unaided eye, and also when you took pictures with your camera, it was also amazing the pictures that the camera took. Well, why are we talking about this? Well, you guys, some of you might not be aware that we have an ionosphere. We have a protective electric layer protecting us from space weather, from all the stuff that goes on in space. Yeah, I hit them last night too. The poles have been getting. No, I got it. The poles have been getting been getting moving around because we are about to do a pole shift, a pretty substantial pole shift. If we go by what I believe, and again, because we won't know because it's science and we just have theories. But if we go by what the pole shift that it looks like we might get to, I will be living similar. Actually, surprisingly, I'll be in a very similar. Is it latitude? Yeah, I will just happen to be in the southern hemisphere, which just means that the sun will do slightly different things, but in general, things won't be too much different when it comes to that. But we don't know what the winds are going to be like, what the solar. We don't know what the winds are going to be like. We don't know what the weather's going to be like. And I do believe that'll happen in my lifetime. From most of the people that I follow, say that that'll happen in the 40s or the 50s. So definitely within my lifetime. I also believe, and I firmly believe this, is that sometime in the next 20 years, we will have large portions, if not all the planet, large portions of the planet that will be without power for an extended period of time because of solar activity. And then that'll turn to whenever the event happens of when we do the actual pole. Or not extreme, that will be, because again, we only can speculate based off of past pole flips and past pole shifts. I am of the belief that the sun will micronova as well. I do think that that's going to happen. And that will, what that actually will do is that will actually recharge our ionosphere. And we'll have another 6 or 12,000 years to do whatever that's going to do. Some of you, it's going to get a little complicated here, but I want you guys to check out some stuff so that you don't understand that what I'm talking is absolutely crazy, that there's actually theories behind it. But I want you to look, if you get on Google Maps and you go over to Africa, and I think it's called, some people call it the Eye of Africa, or it's got some different things, but I can't remember the exact name. I always looked it up under the Eye of Africa. But if you'll notice that there's this big circular spot in Africa. Some people say it's Atlantis. I actually believe it is probably the pivot point. It's one of the pivot points on Earth. So I want a little background. I've researched this a lot. So I've researched lots of stuff. I really like to dig down to research. So to the point where I researched flat Earth for about 5 years, really hardcore. And when I say I researched it, I let myself, when I research things so that I can try to understand the mindset of other people, I get to the point where hey, what's up? When I research things, I like to get to the point where I'm trying to believe the same thing that they're believing. So I researched flat Earth for a while, and it's had some interesting stuff. But this cataclysm, this event that's going to happen, I've been researching it for probably a little bit longer than that. I've been researching this probably since the late 90s. The Navy has maps on how the planet's going to change. But what's even more interesting is I have friends that are geologists. And I like to ask what it used to look like. And in the Arctic and even in the Antarctic, in certain spots, not the entire place, there is trees. And a lot of them are, they're dead. They're under all of the snow and all of the ice. And when we do core samples, and we find these trees, and we find a lot of the stuff. So for there to be trees in places like the Arctic, so for when we study trees, and we see them in the Arctic or the Antarctic. And we know that we find stuff like, we do it all the time in the permafrost, we'll find root systems. So none of this is, speculation. None of this is play. None of this is like fake. This is what science has. You can also find trees that were fossilized, and they give you some additional information as well. So what we know is at a particular point, the weather, the climate was drastically different in different areas of the planet. So we also know it is true that poles have flipped multiple times. That you can see in the magnetism of the rocks. Now, a magnetic pole flip and a actual planet pole flip are two distinctly different things. We don't have proof that it has or it hasn't happened, and that's important. There's not proof in either direction. We know that we know that since humans have been doing things, or at least since we've been documenting things, that it hasn't happened. Or at least if it has happened, we lost the documentation that said that it has or hasn't. But if you go back and every 6,000 years, we have a major event going on. And every 12,000 years, we have a catastrophic event going on. So if you go back 6,000 years ago, I'm not going to bore you guys with all of the terms because we're just brushing the surface here. We're not going to getting down into the minutia. We're just kind of having a conversation. So every 12,000 years, things happen. And it's not just on Earth, it's actually in our whole, some people say solar system, some people say universe, some people can even go as far and deeper into that and say galaxies. So I am not that important about any of that. I am just saying that all of this makes sense to me because I believe that nature runs in cycles, and nature can be all the way scaled up to universes, galaxies, and all the way scaled down to single individual plants and how they interact with the soil. So I think by a lot of the stuff, I think a lot of this stuff that some groups of people are saying are climate change, that people are saying that this is man-made, that are saying all this stuff, I actually think that this is part of the natural cycle. We're just going into more of the extreme. You can look this up. You can look up that lots of weird things are happening on planets like Jupiter. So we have the big eye on Jupiter. That's changed a lot since I was a kid. And we have a little eye up in the top part of Jupiter. I think it's something junior. So that's happened. We see that the atmosphere in places like Neptune has changed. We talk about, since we've been researching Mars and Venus a lot more, thinking about those could be possibly other planets that we might visit, you can see that their climates, their environments have changed in different ways. Actually, we even noticed that the sun, in my lifetime, I've not noticed it. I don't think I've noticed it, but in my lifetime, they've actually said the sun has actually changed colors, and it's getting closer to a whiter hue than it was when I was a kid. So all of that kind of stuff, and that's science. That's not like, speculating. That's just stuff that science says. So when you break down what science is saying and where it could go, and the fact that we have stories, you have biblical stories like the flood. And it's not just with Christians that have the biblical stories of the flood, but you also have ancestral stories of different native tribes that talk about great floods and talk about having to escape to caves. And you have, stories of the planet pausing for 3 days, or the sun being blacked out for 3 days. And you have, stories, not even just science fiction stories, but you have other stories of talking about the Earth changing its direction of its spin. And so there's a reason that we as humans gravitate to these stories. We tell these stories. Not all of them are just fables. Some of them have knowledge behind them. And a lot of times we might not know exactly what that knowledge is. But there's a lot of knowledge behind these stories. And so not taking them seriously or not disregarding them neither is the looking in. So I, for many years before I became a farmer, before I moved here to Southern West Virginia, I was very much a environmentalist activist. So I believed in all the stuff. As a child, I remember being taught in kindergarten. That would have been 86, I believe. Yeah, 86, I think I was in kindergarten. Was it? Something like that. Let's just say it was 86. Let's just say I was taught this in 86 because no reason to. Details are not that important. In 86, I was taught that by the time I was 40, that there would be almost no trees left on the planet because acid rain would destroy everything. And I took that as a kid. I took that to heart. I took that very seriously. And for a very good portion of my life, I did things like I have been to the rainforest because I wanted to see the rainforest and help try to preserve the rainforest. I've planted, I think at last count, I was talking about this the other day and I looked it up again, but I think I'm at 25 or 30,000 trees that I've personally, like with my own hands, put into the ground, let alone money that I've donated or causes that I've helped raise money for that helps doing things like that. But yes, about 25 to 30,000 trees I've planted myself. I restricted a lot of things. I chose not to buy property on the coast. I've done lots of different things because of my belief systems. And I still, even with being a farmer and my current way I view things, I still notice that there's a lot of influence of my upbringing with all of that. All of that being said, I think now, as I've gotten older, I think now is instead of it being human caused, I think it's now part of the cycle. And to break it down the cycle even more, I believe that it is the cycle of the sun. And realizing how solar flares and how solar energy affects me and how I see it affect other people and how we know that it can actually cause heart attacks. We know that it can cause mental illness. We have things, everyone has heard the term lunatic. And if you go with the term lunatic, it just means affected by the moon. And so if the moon can affect us, why can't we be solar ticks and being affected by the sun and space weather and the waves that go around? Chickens are loud today. And so I think that I'm also a conspiracy theorist, if you guys have not realized that by now. And I think that the bad people, whatever you want to call the bad people, I think the bad people want us to not look up. They want us to not realize that these are natural cycles and that we can actually prepare for them. And we can not only prepare our mind, our bodies, our spirit, but we can also prepare the environment that we live in and do things so that we can preserve our way of life and preserve our knowledge. They want us to be angry and to focus on things like, who's polluting what. And again, I think pollution is bad. I hate toxic ick. I don't like petrochemicals. That being said, I understand that things like coal and gasoline and oil have made our way of life beautiful. And I am thankful for those, because if it wasn't for plastics, there's a lot of things that wouldn't be able to get done. And a lot of bad things that would happen in the world. A lot of good people would have been injured, hurt, died. So, but I think the sun And I think especially with the weather that we're experiencing now, while I do think that we are also under weather wars, I think that the weather wars, I do not think they're controlling the weather. I think they are manipulating the weather. What do I mean by that? They know an event is coming. So they see that weather, they see a storm pattern is coming, they see a drought is coming, they see things like the Santa Ana winds, or they know a hurricane is coming. And they're not creating the Santa Ana winds, they're not creating the hurricane, they're not creating the flooding, but what they're going to be doing is they are going to enhance it. And they also are going to enhance it during a time when they know the sun and the energy coming from space is also going to enhance it. So it's naturally being enhanced by solar flares, because if you look at a lot of the events, if you look at Hurricane Helene and you look at the fires, the Eaton fires in California, and you look at even things going back to far as a Superstorm Sandy or Hurricane Katrina, you're going to see that while those storms were bad, and you can find lots of human manipulation or theories of human manipulation, what you can also see is there was also a lot of solar energy going on. There was solar flares. There was lots of energy coming from coronal mass ejections. There was high levels of the KP index was high on those particular days. And so you can see that those events got worse because of things related to the sun. There's a reason we used to worship the sun, and it's not just because it's a beautiful, big, glowy object in the sky that keeps us alive. It's also because it used to do things that we could see a lot more. You know, most people rarely get a chance to see the Milky Way. They don't look up at the sky. They don't realize how awesome the sky is, especially at night. But even let alone at the day. Like today, I'm actually pretty blessed. We can look up at the sky right now, and I'll do the scan with you guys in a minute. But there is not a single chemtrail. But to a lot of kids or a lot of young people, they don't realize that chemtrails should not be happening. Contrails and chemtrails are two distinctly different things. They actually even tell you, this is not a conspiracy. You can look up and you can see that contrails and chemtrails are two distinctly different things. And that stuff coming out, when it's just water coming out of the back of the plane, it dissipates really quickly. When it's water vapor mixed with other chemicals, and maybe the chemicals are not put in, let's even play the game and say they're not even done on purpose. They're just a different mix of jet fuel. And maybe that jet fuel has higher levels of aluminum or higher levels of some other chemical. But we do see that there is a difference. On the same day, you can see on the same day in the same location, you can see some planes leave the trails and some do not. So humans, smarter than us, I shouldn't say smarter, with more knowledge than us, less ignorant than us. How about that? We'll just say less ignorant than us. Less ignorant than us have access to information that we do not have access to. And with that information, they use it to manipulate things, manipulate us. And by manipulating the weather and allowing some people to say, look, they're manipulating the weather, they're making the storm, they're making the fires, it's twofold for them. They get to, preach their environmental, social agendas, but they also get to make it so we do not know that the sun and space weather is also doing some very interesting new things. So my background is in psychology, and I have been studying psychology for quite a few years. I am a life coach and a farmer and all the other silly things that I am. But I read a lot of books on psychology. I read a lot of books. I read a lot of things like Edward Bernays, and I really am into seeing how people learn to manipulate other people through psychology, and how psychology is really one of the most interesting sciences that exists because of how it is a controllable science. What it is that you can predict what the majority of people are going to do. A great example is, most people like sports teams. The reason why sports teams have colors is because colors can get people together, can rally people together very easily. And to the point where I can even tell you stories of when I was in college and would go visit my girlfriend who went to Ohio State. If I was driving my blue car during an Ohio State-Michigan game, I had to park it in one place so it didn't get damaged. And if I was driving my red car, it was fine. And that's just because people can get so riled up with just simply colors. But I digress. The elites know how to manipulate us, and they know how to make us so we aren't looking in the direction that we need to look in. Misdirection. And the elites and the deep state and all that are all around us. There's very few people that are in any type of power that are not part of that. That being said, I am of a belief as someone who is extreme alt-center. I believe that most people are bad. Most of the politicians are bad guys, and they do not have our best interest in mind. They are all playing for the same, not playing for the same team, but they're all playing the same game, and that game is something that we are ignorant of. So, when it comes to us start looking at space weather, and so when it comes to us start looking at things like NASA, and I think that NASA is real and fake at the same time. I think that there's a lot of stuff that NASA is doing that they're not telling us, and that's where those trillions and trillions of dollars are going to. But they also want us to believe that they are incompetent to the point where they forgot how to go to the sun. They forgot how to go to the moon. And I believe that that is by design. That way they can control both sides of the story. Because there's your side of the story, my side of the story, and then the truth. Because usually, folks, and I've seen this in my own life, is you do not remember things the way they actually happened. You remember things the way your brain remembered them happening. And it's really interesting. One way to tell that is to do something and record it. Have multiple people do things together. Record it before you rewatch the recording. You write down what you thought happened, and have the other person write down what they thought happened, and then watch the recording after you read what you thought happened, and you will notice that both of you have a slightly different memory of what happened. And then when you watch the video of what happened, you'll notice that both of you have a lot of things that are true, but there's a lot of things that are not true as well, that you misremembered. And it's not because you have a bad memory. It's because our brains are wired to remember certain aspects and to make some aspects more important and some aspects less important. And also to fill in the gaps when we don't seem to remember what those gaps are. That's why I like human psychology. That's why I think all of this is super interesting. That's why people are intriguing to me. Okay. It's not as cold as it was yesterday. Yesterday, it was absolutely frigid to the point where it was hard. It was hard to be outside for a while. Today, it's just rather cold and not as frigid as it was yesterday. And the birds are actually out today. I think because it's sunny outside, the birds are out making happy bird noises and singing and saying, "Spring will be here soon, friends." Soon as in probably 2 months from now. Spring will be here soon. Kaboom. Put this right there for right now. Let's get this guy, and then we are going to go get some hay. everybody in just a minute. So, friends, what do you guys think about the sun? Do you guys think the sun is going to do anything interesting? Or are you just of the belief system that what we see is what we got, and if the sun was going to do something, they would be using it as a fear tactic to make us more scared, and they would be telling us? Or do you think that they, of course, would not tell us because they don't want us to panic and they want the level of control that they currently have? That's what I believe. I believe that we can find the truth, and they don't mind if we find it, and they don't even really care if we tell our friends about it, but they're not going to tell us because they don't want to be the ones to admit to the craziness that could occur if they told us that we have got 20 or so years left, maybe not even that, before life is about to change very drastically. I mean, what's funny is I actually believe that in lots of different ways. Even if the sun stays normal and nothing happens and things in space and weather stay completely normal, the direction that we're going with humanity in every direction is very interesting. Tomorrow we'll have another show. We will talk about, I think we're going to talk about community. And we're going to talk about the importance of community. We're going to talk about the importance of dealing with different personalities, but that'll be for tomorrow. So today, talking about the sun, the beautiful sun, and how I think that sometime this year, we will see another solar flare. We will get a chance to see the northern lights again, or some of you in the southern hemisphere will get to see the southern lights, and we will see how that is going to drastically affect us. It'll probably enhance some storm. The environmentalists, the doom, the scary, the folks that are afraid of all of that, they'll end up telling us that it's climate change, and they'll say that it's human caused and blah, blah, blah. When in reality, it is either a combination of weather wars and the sun, or just the sun. So, take this into the barn. We need to get some hay for all the bunnies. It is so cold right now. I mean, it's not super cold, but I have noticed that the cold is making me tweak. It's giving me my head a little tweak of a headache a bit. Here's some water you can give to somebody, or at least empty it out if you. Okay, got this. Let's hang this up over here, and let's go grab some hay for the buns, since I promised them I would get them some hay. So, by the way, guys, if you want to, there's some awesome people doing some great things on the interwebs. If you're following me on Rumble, there is, that's going to be a second. I'll just jump over the fence. It'll be easier. So if you're following me on Rumble and you want to follow some awesome people on Rumble, there is WVVI. It'll say WVVI, the Village Idiot. That's my buddy Dwayne. There's also the Daily Mock. I think it's under Steve's Daily Mock. He posts he's very good at the news. He posts some good news in the mornings. So definitely go check that out. If you like retro gaming, Cult of the Bull is another one of my buddies' retro gaming channels here on Rumble. If you're on D Live, WVVI on D Live is Dwayne. I don't think the Cult of the Bull does that, and the Daily Mock. And if you're watching this on any of the other channels, I don't think they've got anything on the other channels just yet. So when they do, I will make sure I shout them out. But definitely check those out. And if you guys have things, if you guys have important people, if there's things that you think other people should check out and watch, you guys are always free to put as long as they're not spammy, and that just means you're not posting it hundreds of times and lots of times and making it annoying. You guys are welcome to always link people in my chat. I do not have a problem. I think it's good to talk about what other people are doing out there in the world. So if you guys know people that other people should be watching for good information, feel free to post that. You can always join the Discord. You can always join the Discord and get people and post your folks that you think are good, useful people over there as well. And again, tomorrow we will have tomorrow Let's Feed the Chickens. We're going to talk more about community. It's been a little while, and a lot of you guys may not know, but I am trying to build a real life community. I'm using Discord as an example. I am seeing how things work on Discord and the pros and cons of how different things happen. Everybody on my Discord, it's not that I'm doing any type of scientific experiment. I'm just watching how people interact. I don't have a lot of rules on my Discord. The one rule I have is I don't ban people. Folks are free to come and go as they please. If you want to be part of the community, great. If you need to step away for a while and come back and forth, that's fine. I don't restrict. There's particular areas to talk about all the different subject matters. I don't censor anybody's speech. You are welcome to talk about anything that you want on the Discord. There might be times as a friend, I might say, today is not the day to talk about that particular subject matter. But that is not saying that you can't talk about it that day. That is just saying I might just pass along that, today might not be the best day, but you are a free human. I run my community as how do I run my community? I don't know. People say lots of different things. I probably run my community as an anarchist dictatorship, where I view everyone as, you guys are just figments of my imagination. And those that understand the joke understand that that's funny. I don't need everyone to be friends. I don't need everyone even to get along. I just need everyone to be real versions of themselves. And if you don't like that, then that's good to know. I think it is best to know who someone is, what their skill set they have, and all that kind of stuff. But again, we'll talk about more of this tomorrow. I'm just giving you guys a little prep on the community.
No problem. I'm ready for tomorrow.
Cancel. My glasses are trying to talk to me. So let's get some more. I'm going to grab a little bit more hay because I got a couple more guys I want to give some hay to. And then we will head in. I guess I can't sit you guys there. Maybe will you guys sit here? Oh, yeah, he'll sit there. So, we planted, my dad, actually, I should say, he started on his little garden area. He started some of the tobacco. I think we started 5. I believe we started 5 with one mess up. We actually double planted some tobacco on one of the things, unfortunately. But we have 5 of the 8, 5 of the 9 tobaccos going together. So we will see how that turns out. And I will also be, because I need to get everything ready for the biochar soon, we will be, hopefully, before the 12th of March, hopefully we have a couple nice days so I can have a little fire so I can actually show you guys how to make biochar. And we will make biochar on a stream. And I think I'm going to try to live stream that. I think I'm going to try to live stream my class at Bluefield. So we will see if I can get that to work the way I want it to work. If so, that'll be absolutely spectacular. If not, that'll be fine too. But we're going to try to do that. It is my initial goal at the moment. So that'll be kind of, it'll be kind of a way to replace the Let's Feed the Chickens, since I will not be doing the Let's Feed the Chickens that day, or at least may not be doing the Let's Feed the Chickens that day, because I will be teaching class out in Bluefield. Okay. I don't know if it's the sun, because of the bright lights and how it's coming in through the corner of my glasses, or how cold it is outside, or if there's solar flares going on, but I am getting a smidgen of a headache in the top corner of my head, and it's a weird headache. It's like a pressure headache. So we are going to finish up this. Get this stupid, I'm trying to get this door to stay on, and it is not staying on today. Okay, let's go down and make sure I turned off the water. I believe I did, but it's very best to go make sure I did. So, so all the bunnies are fed, all the bunnies are watered. It's a beautiful blue sky outside. Lisa's got all the chickens. The water is turned off. So let's look at the sky, guys, because some of you guys like to look at the beautiful sky. We got a couple little fluffy clouds right there. Little happy clouds. Got some happy clouds over here too. And some more clouds rolling in over here. And the sun. And then if you look on top of the house, you can see the wind, the gentle breeze that we are experiencing. So, so if you guys like this kind of stuff, I do this every day. It's Let's Feed the Chickens, or almost every day. Once spring hits, we will be adding the show. We will be adding 2 shows. We'll be adding Justin's Victory Garden, Just in Time Victory Garden, and we'll be adding the show, the Be Aware series, where every Saturday or Sunday, depending on how it's raining, we will be getting into the beehives. And I will be showing you how I maintain bees and what I do with honeybees. And the Victory Garden will be 2 days a week. We will be checking on the garden. And the idea is I'm going to be growing a 1940s style Victory Garden. We're going to be growing the size and some of the plans, but I'm also going to be adding some of my current permaculture technologies and with the knowledge of today to see if we can have a very good yield of veg and fruit and other things in my permaculture garden and the Victory Gardens. Just show that you too can create a lot of your own food. And by creating a lot of your own food, you can take back control from the bad people that are trying to manipulate and control you. So, anyways, friends, I think I'm going to head in. I hope you guys have a wonderful day. Hope you guys enjoy the lovely day today. And I will see you guys tomorrow. It's Doc. Till tomorrow.
In the place where it starts and ends, a sweet girl with a gentle hand stole my life in a timeless dance, in the realm of love where time's a glance. Oh, how can it be that she slipped inside of me? Through my fingers like grains of sand, falling from grace, where did we stand? Tell me why are we worlds apart?
Vamoose Green Heart, we are back from Madrid. Locked in.
Think of me in the night's embrace where we used to be. Hearts worth breaking, it's a dangerous play. Some heal stronger, some just fray. Yet here I stand with gashes wide, under midnight showers where my secrets hide. Could someone change her path as I could not? Call her back from the void, a second shot. Memories etched in the soul, they never fade. In the echo of her steps, I'm still swaying. Tell me why are we worlds apart? Is it my misfit heart or fear of the dark? Every full moon, think of me in the night's embrace where we used to be. Dress on a Thursday night, fight for love with all your might. Forget it all in a flash if you dare, or hold on tight if you still care. No ending in sight, just stories untold. In the heart of the night, in the brave and the bold. Think of me when the skies are stark, our memories, our eternal spark. Tell me why are we worlds apart? Is it my misfit heart or fear of the dark? Every full moon, think of me in the night's embrace where we used to be.